Stu here. Today we're going to finally put the powerhead back on this 54-stroke I've been working on all this time. So this is sort of really the last video I'll do as a part of that sort of video blog series. After that I'm going to be getting just more into discrete jobs, you know, changing propellers, whatever, very simple, straightforward, freestanding projects. So I originally filmed a bit of an intro to this. As you can probably tell from the light, this is actually filmed afterwards now. But the video is now going to start where I'm just getting ready to clean up the oil pan, which then has the gasket on, so there's a gasket that goes between the oil pan and the powerhead. So we'll pick up from that stage and we'll take it right through to starting this motor up. So to start with, I'm just going to use a bit of this brake cleaner and just clean the top of the leg here where the gasket's going to go. So just give that a little bit of a wipe. Okay, what I'm also going to do now is just put some oil on this main drive shaft seal. There's also an area where the gear selector linkage goes down. I'm going to put that in first. The manual's slightly ambiguous, but I can't imagine the engine not getting in the way. So I'm going to drop the gear selector down, bit of oil here, then we'll put the gasket and drop the engine on. Just leave this here, and just a little bit of oil around this seal. And then this actually isn't the seal's below that, that's just a bit of a grommet just to help it slide down. Before I get it dirty, I'm just going to pop this gasket on, which can only go around one way thanks to these two dowels in this position. So I'll just go grab that gear selector and I'll slide that down. Poor old puppy next door is new and he's not too happy about being left alone, so we'll go over there and I'll introduce you in a few seconds. It's quite cute. Okay. No. This way is what I'm thinking. Alright, so I'm just going to leave that now so we can drop the head on, because I don't think we'd better get that in afterwards. Struggling to recall the order I took it out in. So now we're ready for the head. I might just go and pick it up. I think it's pretty heavy. In fact, I know it's pretty heavy. So I'm not keen to kind of wrestle it on, just in case it do a bit of damage. So I might just hook it back up to the little crane here, just so I can suspend it. So give me a moment and I'll get that ready for you. So what seems to work pretty well here is just cracking the valve on the hydraulics in the crane really gently, and as it slowly leaks it just lowers it very slowly, gives you heaps of time to position it on its way down. It's a nice sort of controlled fall, if you will. So next step is to put these mounting bolts in. There's 8 of them. I think they're 6mm bolts. Sorry, no, they look about 8mm. 12mm heads. And 4 each side. So all up, there's 2 at the back here that hold the lower cowling on. So 2 this side, 2 the other side, and these 8 that hold the engine itself on.
So I don't think there's any particular torquing pattern for these, but they do all get set to 15 pound-feet, foot-pounds, whichever way around it is. So I'm just going to go on now and run these down and then start torquing them up. And then we'll see if we can make some sense out of these linkages. So I've got all these bolts run down now. I'm just going to torque them up. If you're getting sort of rigged up to do this, because they're a bit recessed, just make sure you got some sort of extension bar on your wrench, otherwise you'll have a tough time getting into them. Just double checking that. Yeah, 15 foot-pounds, so it's not a lot. Curiously, it's actually kind of the sort of bottom range of this. Just check that one. Yeah, bottom of the range for this torque wrench, and the which is a 1/2 inch, and it was close to the top of the range for my 1/4 inch. So should probably at some stage try and fit a 3/8 in there, just to cover these sort of mid-range torque settings. So incidentally, while I'm putting this on, I'm also doing the compressed air oiling I showed you in the other video for the cables for this motor. They're actually moving reasonably well, but I figure it's never going to be a better time to do them, so I'm actually just running some new oil through these on the compressor. Alright, so that was the easy bit. Now I need to start putting all these linkages back together. Some of them are pretty straightforward. I'm really wishing I'd got around to putting the 4 wheels on the 4 pivoting wheels on this outboard stand. I'm definitely going to change them. In this confined space, it'd be nice to be able to rotate it on the spot. So, nice easy one here. This is just the telltale that goes onto a barb fitting on the exhaust cover. So I'll hook that up. Spark plugs I'm going to do later. So I'm going to do the compression test first. Around here I've just got these 2 blue fittings. This is simply the switch, tilt trim switch, going to the trim tilt relay. So that's a nice straightforward one too. What we've got that's not so straightforward is all our fittings for the throttle and gear shifter now. A little bit of a opportunity for things to fall down here, so I'm quickly actually just going to pop the dipstick in for now as well, just to stop anything falling down into the sump. So I'm going to start by taking off this trim tilt relay, just because it blocks the access I've got down to this gear shift linkage. I'm just going to put this off to the side for a moment. Last. What this gives us access to here is where the shift linkage attaches to the engine block. There's 2 bolts, but there's also a metal plate that goes over that, like a sort of shared washer type arrangement. So I'm going to go and locate that and come and pop that on. So now we've got a little plate that goes on it, and just a couple of little 6mm nuts. Pop those through and I'll just show you what they look like. So these ones, you can see it's just a plate, and what we're doing is we're attaching this mechanism that's separate onto the engine block here. So I'll just run those down and then we'll move on to the rest of this linkage here. We've got a few parts to attach here and down here. So here's the plan. This part of the linkage is where the throttle goes. So the throttle has this linkage coming off it that ends here, and this joint here goes onto here. This screw has this spring next to it. If I shine this torch down here, you'll see you've got the screw there and the small hole to the right of it. That's where the spring goes in. I think this part here of the gear selector is going to be a little bit in the way, so I think I'm just going to do this, undo that R-clip there and just remove that section until I've finished with this throttle linkage. So I'll pop that together and I'll show you back when I've got that first bit in. Okay, so a little update. Got this linkage, got this attached here now. So got the bolt attached, springs in, and here's the throttle connector. You can see now when this moves up, pushes a linkage. You can hear that accelerator pump diaphragm going at the same time. So what we need now is the little roller that comes under here and actuates this. So we're going to put that one in next. So as before, this linkage has got the screw and the spring connection there, and it's going down in there. I hope you can see where there's the thread, and then a little bit kind of up and to the right there's the hole where the pin goes in. So that's where I'm going to install this. Okay, so this is now installed, and when the linkage pushes against here, it rolls up. It does spring back, but I'm wondering whether this shouldn't have somehow had the spring tension differently to hold that more, but I'm going to see what it does when the actual throttle cable's attached. If I was to do it again, I'd probably put this one in first. This is quite tricky. A little ratchet ring spanner saved the day there, but it might be easy to pop this one in before this one, given it's sort of slightly underneath it. So that's probably what I'll do next time. So next thing I'm going to do now is put this linkage for the shifter back on, that R-clip back on, and then it lays here, and you've got two fasteners here that go onto here and onto there. So I'm going to screw those on and reconnect that R-clip. So we're pretty much done now, in that the throttle cable is going to come onto here and the gear shift cable comes onto this top one, with neutral being in the middle there, and they're going to attach on here. So, sorry, I can't remember where we got up to. Actually, it's a couple of days later now. It's my usual disorganised video, but we are sort of getting to the end now. I've put the gearbox on as well off camera, just because I'm sort of going to put this in the water today, so hopefully it'll be ready to go. So next thing I do is put these two leads from the trim tilt motor. They get fed up through this sort of concertina grommet on the port side here, and they come onto the relay. So I'll just show you quickly where I'm putting these. Okay, so we're going to take these two wires from the trailer switch for the trim tilt, and we're going to connect them up here. So this has actually been colour coded. Not sure whether that's factory done or wire mechanical on the line, but what it turns out is that it's the green to the top left and the blue to the bottom right. Positive power here, so the main battery lead will connect here, and this is just a feed for positive power here, and then we've got an earth down below. So I'm going to go ahead and connect these two, and then we'll have the trim tilt switch connected up, and after that I think we'll just go on and put the main battery leads on. So I've changed my mind about putting the battery on, because I've got to load this down to the water first anyway, so I'll hook the battery up when we get there. Next I'm going to put put new spark plugs in. For those of you with a keen eye, you'll also notice there wasn't a thermostat in before, which I've put in as well. Well, the thermostat's pretty straightforward, but I might do a separate video on that later on, given people we'll have that as a service job down the track. So these, so this is 2 coils for this, and they're what's called a waste spark system. So this coil fires 2 cylinders at the same time, both when they're at top dead center or just before. One's on the compression stroke and actually one's on an exhaust stroke. So the one on the exhaust stroke gets this spark that does nothing other than perhaps burn a bit of unburnt fuel at the exhaust. But it means that you end up with 2 coils instead of 4. So as you would have seen in the other videos, if you're watching those, in a 4-cylinder motor, the cylinders are paired, so the middle 2 rise up and down together, and the outer 2 rise up and down together. One's on a compression, one's on the exhaust, one's on a compression, one's on the exhaust when doing it. So they fire in a particular order, but they do come up and down in pairs. And those pairs are the way that they're linked up here. So in this case, the top coil hooks up to cylinder 2 and 3. And this bottom coil does cylinder 1 and cylinder 4. So they're the pairs in which they rise up and down. There is, I actually just saw the other day down at the Yamaha place down the road, there is actually a little tool that they provide for getting to this bottom spark plug. I'll show you what I did quickly. So these tunnels, the recesses where the spark plug head is really tight. So I find a normal socket doesn't fit at all, so I end up using like a sort of pipe socket because they've got much thinner walls. But then when you get to the bottom, you can't actually fit the pipe in. So I just hacksawed the end of it off, then just hacksawed down, bent it in, and just used a screwdriver in. In hindsight, I might have cut it just a smidge longer and just drilled through again, so you could put the screwdriver down in it. These cuts are a bit of a compensation for having cut it too short, but I found this works pretty well to get that bottom spark plug because of the lower cowling being in the way. So once all these wires are hooked up, there's a cover here that just goes over the over this area. Get this orientation right. Yeah, I think that's the one. I'm just going to have a look at how this can be arranged to cover most of this up. I'm actually tempted to go and get a few cable ties and just try and bunch this up before I put the cover over. So I'll grab some cable ties and see if we can neaten this up. So I've just put one main cable tie around here to bunch some of these connectors up. There's 3 screws for this. One I'm going to put here just comes in just above the thermostat. And then I'm just going to put these all in reasonably lightly until I make sure that none of the wires are pinched anywhere. And one here just above the rectifier. So I just connected the fuel line here. This is a new fuel fitting. It's just this 10mm head you have to undo to get the fuel fitting out. Hose there, then it came to the inlet side of the fuel filter, obviously, first place that starts. So put that in. Not sure also if I showed you the crankcase breather hose. I'll have a look when I edit this up and make sure that not showing you that twice. And then I think we're pretty good to go. Flywheel's on, just having that last little check. Oil's topped up, check the level. Telltale's now connected. New fuel filter in. Plugs to the right plug cover. So all I'm really going to do now is connect when we get in the boat. Then positive battery lead, negative battery lead is good. Now one thing I do have to do now is there's a plate that goes in here and it locks into the grooves in the gear and throttle linkages from the forward controls. I'm missing this part, so I'm just going to cut and drill a piece of stainless or aluminium to make this. I just don't think it's worth ordering. It's just a bit of metal. As long as I just drill it the right diameter, the cables will lock in there well enough, I think. So I'm going to make up one of those, and we'll pop that in, and then we're pretty much ready to put this back on the cart and lower it down. So a couple of quick things. One thing I forgot to pop on was this dash pot for controlling this linkage, so that's on now, just a bit of a damper. And then over here, just started making this little plate, so I've cut the plate to size, popped it in, and then just marked the center of where the two cables will come through. So I'll drill those out now, and then I'll cut them into a sort of U shape so the cables can slot down. Alright, a little bit tragic, but it's done. It'll hold. Okay, so I'm going to pop this in. I might order that part down the track and just replace it, but that'll hold for now. So, back off again. We're pretty much together now. The only last thing I've done now is just put a bit of grease on all the linkages and sprayed a bit of lanolin on some of the lower cowling mounts and those kinds of places that are really prone to corrosion. Figure it's here, may as well. Had one more little earth lead for the grease nipple on the pivot tube, so that's now been reattached as well. So I'm going to turn the tap on now and see if we can start this thing. I did run just the power head before briefly, but this is actually the first time I've had it all hooked up, and see if we're getting cooling water out the telltale, the whole thing. So wish me luck. All right. Battery was flat, so I had to charge it overnight another day. So the idle sounds a little bit high to me. I'm going to check all these linkages. I'm not 100% confident on the way the linkages for the choke, and then there's a start mechanism, those solenoids, so I'm going to have a look through that. It does sound like it's idling a little bit high to me, but fundamentally it's running. We got there. It's been a pretty long project, this one, but I'm going to put it on the boat today, and I'll tweak the rest of it on the boat, I think, with it running. So thanks for watching. If you followed along for this whole motor, then I hope you enjoyed seeing that. From now on, I think I'll be doing more sort of discrete jobs, which is probably better as tutorials. So this is more of a video blog, I guess, this project. So thanks again. Please subscribe if you want to watch more videos like this, and I'll catch you soon. See ya.